We're on red now. Alright, welcome to the second part of, I guess, part 2 of the Lord of the Rings limited set review. We're doing red now. Start. Battle-scarred Goblin. 1 in the red, creature Goblin Warrior. Whenever Battle-scarred Goblin becomes blocked, it deals 1 damage to each creature blocking it. So, this is like your aggressive common 2-drop. They've had like this card in the past. You know, Ornery Goblin was, you know, it was like a 2/1 for 2 that dealt 1 damage to creatures blocking it. It's also got like some synergy. Hey there, Ancient Hangover. It's got like some synergies with that Death Touch combat trick. Cool. Give this creature Death Touch, like, you know, before combat damage is assigned, and then it will kill anything that blocks it even before like the damage is dealt. It also means like as like normal, like with the other ornery goblin or whatever, they can't just block it with you know, X1 blockers. They get instantly killed. You know? Well, this is fine. It'll still trade with like a 2/2, but I'll say it's like a 2. It's gonna be like a fine 2-drop. And you might find like some synergies with it, like I said, giving it Death Touch. Makes it better. It's also a goblin for all the stuff that cares about that. Book of Mazarbul. 2 in a red, Enchantment Saga. Amass Orcs 1. Our first step is Amass Orcs 1. Second step is Amass Orcs 2. And then third step is creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain menace until end of turn. So it's like a 3/3 that either or Saul. It's like a 3/3 that, you know, the next it starts out as a 1/1, but then becomes a 3/3, and then, you know, you can do a combat trick, or not combat trick, but like a team pump. I mean, giving your entire team menace can be a big deal. You know? I can see this card being really good if like you're ahead and stuff, because this could like close out the game. Yeah, it's pretty good if you're being aggressive, for sure. Yeah, that's true. This card's gonna be really good if you're like really aggressive and you curve out into it, but then like, because it could, yeah, it could threaten. Yeah, depends on if you have a turn 1 or 2 amass play, because this is like one of those cards that's probably going to be better if you went turn 2 amass into this. Like if you played the black sorcery that like amass 1 and draw a card, then it's like reasonable. I guess it can attack as a 2/2 after you play this, right? Because you go amass 1 on turn 2, and then, yeah. It's got like some nice little synergies when things like line up. I mean, the fail case is a 3/3 for 3. Bad, so maybe say it's like a 2.5. In that sense. It's a little slow, right? It's not like you get the 3/3 right away. You have to wait a little bit to get it, because like it's over like 2 turns, but alright. Breaking of the Fellowship, 1 in the red, sorcery. Target creature an opponent controls deals damage equal to its power to another target creature that players control. The ring tempts you. So this is Mutiny, right? And Mutiny was not like super high or whatever because it's like you needed your opponent to have two creatures. And I mean the ring tempts you might be like relevant. It's not like completely irrelevant text or whatever have like ring tempts you on it, but like how good is this gonna be? I'm just gonna say because it's like very conditional removal. It's yeah. Well, I mean, even if they have two 3/3s, it's only ever killing one of them, right? The best case scenario, R stall, is they have a 6/6 and a 1/1, and the 1/1 has Death Touch. Then it looks really good. Yeah, it's like Incriminate. I mean, it's basically Mutiny, except, like, you know, it has Ring Tempts You text and it calls one more. I'm gonna say it's like a 1.5. Just because it's like conditional removal. Conditional removal. I don't think is like great. Also, sorry about the music. I was gonna just so you can hear one. Okay. Yeah, depends on. Yeah, I've been rating a lot of the cards kind of low because like I don't know how good the ring tempts you is gonna be. Like I don't think it's gonna be worth a full card or whatever. Like Decayed wasn't. You think it's worth 1 mana? Yeah, killing the second best creature is usually not that good. All right, Cast in the Fire. One and a red instant. Choose one. Cast in the Fire deals 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures or exile target artifact. Yeah. Yeah. Feels more like a sideboard card. Like, maybe if there's a lot of X ones in the format, this is gonna play out well. There is like an Equipment Matters deck. So, like, exiling a target artifact might be relevant. You could exile your opponent's food. That's probably not a good use of a card, though. So, yeah. I'm thinking this is probably gonna be a sideboard card, but if you're like main decking it, it's gonna be like a 1. Or it just doesn't seem great. There's definitely some people who say like they get a lot of like maybe if they're playing the food deck, killing their food just to spite them, be like, hey, I kill your food. Yeah, there's a fair number of like 1/2s and like 1/3s and whatnot creatures in this set. Alright, display a power 1 in double red instant. This spell can't be copied. Copy any number of target instant and or sorcery spells. You may choose new targets for the copy. So this is basically a constructed card. Um, Maybe you use it to like copy your opponent's removal, but that's very situational. You copy your removal, but it's like yeah, usually these type of cards don't play out that great, especially like at 3 mana. Like, was Fork like a good limited card? I don't think it was. That cost 2. So I'd just be inclined to say this is like a 1. But maybe it has like the upside of like copying your opponent's removal spells, so I could say like a 1.5. The red control deck with that enchantment and deals. Oh, you're talking about the fire card or something. Yeah, I think I saw that. But I just don't think usually like it's like instants and sorceries that copy another instant sorcery. Even if you can copy your opponent's instant and sorcery, that's not like that great. It's like fine, but or Eomer, Marshall Rohan, 2 and double red, legendary creature, human knight. Haste whenever one or more attacking legendary creatures you control die. Untap all creatures you control. un after this phase, there's an additional combat phase. This triggers only once each turn. So this is a 4/4 haste for 4 that has like relevant text on it, but it's probably going to play out a lot like a 4/4 for 4. There's probably like some situations where you attack with the Eomare and like another legendary creature, and they need to block your other legendary creature, and it dies, and then you get to like hit them again. Or maybe like you attack with like a bunch of things, and then like you sack your legendary. The Neo Samurai was really good with the second combat phase. You mean like Ryujin or whatever? I only saw myself lose that card if I was already losing, because like it was a 4 mana 3/3 first strike. So I mean, yeah, sometimes like a 3/3 first strike gets in a good attack by itself, but yeah, it's just like the exalted thing was kind of annoying because the removal was really good in Neo. So it's like you lost a lot of tempo when you just swung with like a single creature. When you swung with a single creature and then they use like their removal spell to like kill it. I'm kind of tempted to like rate this high just because it's pretty big for like the mana cost, and it has haste. And I imagine with like sack outlets, it could be a big deal, right? Instant speed sack outlets. Because you could sack like your other legendary that attacked to like untap and get another combat. I mean, obviously, like the attacking again another combat feels a little bit more like win more ish, but I don't know. I'm willing to say this is like a 3.5. I don't think it's a bomb, but I do think it's like pretty efficient, and I think like the ability is gonna come up some number of times, especially with all the legendaries in the set. Also, if you haven't already, you should check out RSL stream. Oh, Ryu Storm's Edge, yeah. Check out RSL stream. He streams 5 days a week, and he's got like a lovely stream community already built up. So his community drafts, people seem to love the community drafts, and check out the stream. Why is there more than one Eomare in the set? I guess because. Alright, Eomare of the Rittermark, 4 in a red, legendary creature human knight, haste. Also has haste. Whenever Eomare or the Rittermark attack, if you control a creature with the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield, create a 1/1 with white human soul token. So, I mean, again, this is like a big haste creature, a 5/4 haste for 5. And there's a very good chance that this is going to have like the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield, so it gets to create a 1/1. Yeah, I think this is gonna be good. Like, it's only gonna be bad, I guess, if they have like. So this will trade with like 2/2/2s, but then you get a 1/1 behind. I think this is also gonna be good too. Like, it's also like I would rate this also as like a 3. Maybe it's like awkward because it has like fire elemental stats, which makes it worse. But it's probably gonna play out similarly to like the chimney rabble or whatever in some ways. But it's like bigger than the chimney rabble, and it could potentially get like multiple soldiers that could live. Alright, Erebor Flamesmith, 1 in a red, creature dwarf artificer. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Erebor Flamesmith deals 1 damage each opponent. So this is like your Kessig Flame Breather of the set, except it only counts instants and sorceries, not just any non-creature card. Um, Yeah, it's like the new. It's a new Flame Breather, but it only counts instants and sorceries. It doesn't count like anything, like or any non-creature. Just like relevant. It's also a 2-1 versus a 1-3. Hey there, Taco Tony. How's it going? It's a 2-1 versus a 1-3. It's going to be better at attacking. Um, Notably, it's bad versus that spell that pings. That can ping 2 targets or whatever. Like, ping 2 targets for 1 damage. Yeah, the -1 thing in black would get. Yeah, or the red spell that pings 2 things for 1 damage. So, I don't know. I'm gonna say it's like a 1.5. I don't know how insane like the red blue spell deck is going to be, but it's just like the stat line is not like impressive, I guess. Probably gonna ping them for like 2 or 3 damage, or maybe 2 damage on average. It's gonna be like the whatever the wizard the core set 2019 wizard. I can't remember it. It was like Lizard Wizard. It was like the thing that like enters the battlefield and does like 2 damage to each opponent battlefield. Alright, Erkenbrand, Lord of Westfold, 3 in the red, legendary creature human soldier. Whenever Erkenbrand, Lord of Westfold or another human enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Oh wow. This could be pretty good with like human token creators. Because it says it triggers off any human that enters the battlefield under control, so it can trigger off like tokens or whatever. So like that other thing, like the Eomir that makes like a human token, or that triggers this. Yeah. I could see this card being really good in like a go wide deck. Like obviously the downside, it has like a 3/3 stat line. It which makes it a little bit weaker, but I'm willing to say this like a 3. Just because I think like the ability could be like really annoying. Maybe it's closer to like a 2.5, honestly. Could be like a 2.5, but maybe I could say it's like a 2. I'm trying to like fix my spreadsheet. Right, Fall of Care Andros, 2 in a red, enchantment. Whenever a creature opponent controls is dealt excess non-combat damage. There's a spell that makes 2 humans with hate. Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I mean, yeah, so maybe it could be like a 3 if you have like all the token makers. Okay, I'll say it's a 3. Infinite token combo. I don't know there's like any infinite token combos in this set. Amadio, I would like I'm just thinking about in the context of like this limited format, like what I think it's gonna do. Um Alright, Fall of Care Andros. Whenever a creature opponent control is dealt excess non-combat damage, amass Orcs X, where X is that excess damage. So it's non-combat damage, so you need to be doing like stuff like this. It has like synergy with itself. Like if you can get up to like 8 mana and activate this, it could be pretty broken. Um but until you get there, like it's not gonna do a lot if there are be dealing with an infinite attack, yeah. I don't know if they would put an infinite token combo in the set itself, but maybe. Yeah. Yeah, I mean this is probably more of a constructed card. Because how often you're hitting yeah, 8 mana is kind of a pipe dream for sure. Like it's more of a constructed card. Honestly, because like in constructed you could have like more non-combat damage spells, like you could be playing board wipes or something. Like board wipes that deal non-combat damage, like, burn down the house or whatever, and then make something like, hey, Night Dark Life, how's it going? I'm doing alright. So far the cards have been pretty cool from like a flavor perspective, but I think from like a power level perspective, I've been rating the cards kind of low because the power level definitely seems a lot lower than other set. 3 mana do nothing. Yeah, it's not a one-time thing, but I think like 8 mana is a lot of mana. Is the problem, and like it doesn't do anything if you don't have any. Like it's not gonna do any other thing. It's not gonna do anything unless you have other sources of non-combat damage to combo with it, and then yeah, it's probably just gonna be like a 0.5. Like there's probably gonna be some game where somebody went off with it and it was really broken, but I think most of the time it's probably just gonna play out like 5. As in, like, you can play it if you want to, but I probably just would. You can be paid with power. No, we're talking about limited though. Mario, we're not talking about like constructed at all. Like this is a limited review. Less power means slower clock. Yeah, but I mean still hitting 8 mana a lot, even if like the formats are. Alright. Fear Fire Foes X Red Sorcery. Damage can't be befriended this turn. Fear Fire Foes deals X damage to target creature and 1 damage to each other creature with the same controller. So, yeah, this is like, it's sort of like Savage Alliance, if anybody remembers that card. I mean, it's not quite the same thing as like Savage Alliance, but, or I guess like, yeah, Savage Alliance is probably what I'm thinking of. Heat Ray, yeah. Well, I'm thinking about a card that also does like damage, like other things or whatever. Like, um, it's probably like a reasonable card if, like, does anyone remember? Like, I think wasn't there a card in like Neon that? Why do you think they did the weird wording? Um, I think it's like worded like that because they don't want it to do like X+1 damage to the creature you're targeting. I think that's what you mean. They just don't like they wanted to do specifically X damage to the creature you targeted, and then I don't know, like maybe each other creature the player controls. I'm just thinking they don't want you to like they want to discourage you from targeting your own creature with it, but you're saying that it should be worded differently even if it was like that way. A creature that player how did that card work in Neon Kamigawa? I'm trying to think about it. The Seismic Wave, never mind, that was actually different. That just said opponent. It's just weird wording. I don't think it's really that weird. It's just like, you know, each each other creature with the same controller versus to each other creature. Yeah, I don't know. Like a lot of the rules are no. There's a fair number of instants in black. Like black has a fair number of instants actually. And maybe it's just like we've seen like red sorcery speed removals, but you aren't targeting the opponent, so it doesn't fizzle the hexproof the player. I mean, you could still technically get around that even by just saying like I don't like there's a way to get around it even if like even if like if they wanted to get around hexproof the player, they could just say like you know that player or whatever. Like it's sorry, I'm get this again. Creature with the same control versus yeah, but the wording that like Slinwin was using doesn't target a player either. So I don't really know why they do this wording, but I also don't really know why like the discussion matters. I guess like is it get around target player effects? Yeah, for token decks. Yeah, I mean it's meant it's not choosing name at all though, Domino Man. It's just saying each other creature. It doesn't care about like the name of the creature at all. To each other creature target player controls. I see. Yeah, I think they're just trying to get around like the hexproof thing. Then that's what you're saying, okay? Because like that's I didn't really understand what you were like asking about Arsal. That's why I was like confused. Like, does the wording matter? Because like when I looked at like what Slinwin was saying, it just like it felt like it was just like two different ways of saying the same thing. I got confused there. You know, seismic. Well, seismic wave you can actually target like yourself if you wanted to, and then it if you wanted to with the first part, right? You could, but yeah. So just get like sorry, like I think the discussion got really derailed or whatever, but just like getting back to like the original card, it's sorcery speed, and most of the time you're never trading up in mana because like you're spending 3 mana to kill like an X3. Um, but I mean, there is like the side benefit that if your opponent has a lot of X1s, this could be really good. Or if you do this like after combat, it's gonna be really good. No, it's fine. That is totally cool to derail a little bit. Like, I mean, we didn't like. This is the reason I'm doing this on like Twitch and not like in a YouTube video. I was like, if I just didn't want people to talk about it, I would just then I don't know. It felt like people were asking me to do it on Twitch, so yeah. Seismic wave, yeah, you could target yourself if you wanted to, and then but you still need to target the opponent. Seismic wave, like that's what I was saying. Um, yeah, I the sorcery speed and the fact that it's like it's gonna be really good sometimes. It's gonna be kind of like medium other times. I mean, I guess there are a fair number. Like the creatures tend to be a little smaller in this format. Like 4 mana 3/3, so you're spending 4 mana to kill their 3/3 and then paying a bunch of other things. It'll be fine. So maybe it could be like a 2.5 that context, but it's not like necessarily like premium removal. It's just like not awful removal either. Alright, Fiery Inscription, 2 in a red, enchantment. When Fiery Inscription enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Fiery Inscription deals 2 damage to each opponent. This is gonna be really context dependent. If there is like a deck that's like all instants and sorceries, or like, um if there's a deck that has like, 13 instants and sorceries in it, this can be your win condition, but it's also gonna be really bad if, I don't know, it's like it depends. I guess it just depended on how many instants and sorceries you have, but I think there's gonna be a lot of people who put this card in a deck where it's bad, right? Like they put it in a deck where like they're playing like 5 instants. Like, why does this card like deal like 2 damage? 3 mana, deal 2 damage. So I don't know. I'm just gonna say it's a Flame Reaver on steroids, yeah. But it doesn't attack or block though, I guess, is like the thing. So like the fail case is a bit worse. Like if you if you get like a creature heavy hand or something like that, you're gonna be like really annoyed about this, but I don't know. I'm just gonna say it's gonna be like a 1.5 because I think like people are gonna play it. I mean, it could be maybe like a 2, I guess, because like the upside is gonna be really good. But I do think like I'll say it's a 2, but I think the variance is definitely gonna like be there. The fun of casting copies. Um, it only triggers when if you have like multiples. Oh, that's what you meant. If you have multiples of it, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, it just doesn't. We haven't like necessarily rated whether how much of a card like Ring Tempts You is worth. Like, is it similar to like Decayed, where it isn't really a card? Like a Decayed zombie token isn't really a card, right? That's not really a card, but alright. Fire of Orthonc, 3 in the red sorcery. Destroy target artifact or land. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. They've had cards like this before. Like Seismic Rift. Um, this is just gonna, or whatever, any Seismic Shift. Well, no. Well, I feel like they've had like a card like this before that was like destroy a land and then creatures out flying can't block this turn or whatever. And yeah, it's feels like it's not going to be great. Like Falter costs like 2 mana, land destruction I guess costs like 4 now. This is like a sideboard card, but I'm just gonna say like a 1. Like if you're playing best of 3, you can like sideboard this in like if you really need it. Like the reason this card's bad compared to like Electrostatic Wave or the one from like Pyrexia or whatever is because this doesn't do anything to the board. That like I guess like it destroys an artifact. But like the other one was actually like good because like pinging all your opponent's creatures for 1 was actually like that format. Maybe that's also like why you know it could be possible like that black -1/-1 is actually a lot better than but yeah, I'm just gonna say this is like a 1. I think usually like a lot of these cards are only gonna play like this type of like falter is always like a card that like is like overrated by people because they just remember all the times they like lost when their opponent played it. They don't really remember the time like their opponent had this in their hand and then like you were beating them up with like stuff. Alright, foray of orcs, 3 in a red, sorcery, amass orcs 2. When you do, foray of orcs deals X damage to target creature opponent controls where X is the amassed army's power. So, this is basically your Flame Tongue Kavu of the set. Like, I think like a 4 mana 2/2 that deals 2 damage to creatures not good, but if you have like other orc thing, like other like army stuff, then it's gonna be pretty good. Like if you have like an army that's like if you have a 2/2 army and then you play this and it becomes a 4/4 and then you kill their X4, it's gonna be nice. So I mean, I guess we'll see how good amassing is, but I'm willing to give this like a 2.5 because I think like the upside is there. But there's also like a fair amount of like potential downside. I don't think this is gonna be like bonkers by any means, but I do think it can be like pretty good if you've got like other mass stuff going on. Like you basically don't want to play this mass card. It's gonna be lame. Or Gimli counter of kills. 3 and a red. Not enough John Rhys Davies. I'm afraid, but alright. Legendary creature, Dwarf Warrior, Trample. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, Gimli counter kills deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. 4/3 Trample for 4. I mean, I think this card so if like 4/3 for 4 Trample, it's not like great stats, but like the pinging is probably like if you're really aggressive, I could definitely see like the pinging on this like mattering a lot. Like if you're like ahead and your opponent has to like chump block or make like trades that are like reasonably favorable for you, this could just add up to like a bunch of like additional damage, like 2, 3, 4 additional damage there. Like imagine like you play a Gimli and then you play like that fear foe fire thing, or like do 1,000,000 damage, kill a bunch of the other 1/1s. I'm just gonna say because the stat line itself is not really that great or whatever, I'm gonna say it's like a 2.5. It's like obviously like a 4 mana 4/3 is not great. But this is also like a format where, the bodies are like smaller, so like a 4 mana 4/3 could actually be full stat line. But I do think like the pinging from this is gonna matter. It's like the same thing with like that back card or whatever. Like I think the back card, like the pinging is gonna matter a lot with that. Alright, Gimli's Axe. 2 in a red artifact equipment. Um Equipped creature gets +3/+0 as long as the equipped creature is legendary, has menace, equipped 2. So we've had like these sort of variant of the card. It's like, axe time, yeah. We've had like these variants of this type of card, and they haven't been like super good or whatever because like the the equip cost and the stat line hasn't been like really worth it. But right, like Torch Gauntlet was basically like a filler card in the formats where it existed. I mean, this is like costs more, but it does give you like one more stat, and then it does have like text like if you have like legendaries, giving menace isn't like nothing. Cause I don't know. I guess it depends on how good like the legendary text is, but I still feel like these equipment just tend to just be like not just. We'll have to see like how good like the equipment synergies are, and also if there's just like not enough like mana sinks in this format, I could see this be doing better because like 2 mana to get plus 3 is better than 2 mana to get +2, but it does have like a higher casting cost. I definitely could see this being scary if you have like a lot of legendaries. So I could maybe speculatively give this. Could be like really good, and like it's good with I guess the Gimli itself because he would become a 7/3 menace trample, but I don't know. Again, I usually think those equipments are like not great. Alright, Gloin Dwarf Emissary, 2 in a red, legendary creature Dwarf Advisor. Whenever you cast a historic spell, create a treasure token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Artifact legendaries and sagas are historic. And then tap, sacrifice the creature, goad target creature, which is kinda cool. Until your next turn, that creature attacks. Each combat able attacks a player other than you. Oh. I mean, it's a 3/3 for 3. It's a legendary. It can ramp you if you have historic spells. There's a fair number of like legendaries in the set, so you'll get some number of treasure tokens, and the goading is relevant at times. Like, I mean, there was like alluring siren. Like, it can be really insane, like to make your opponent like throw their creature, make their creature do a bad attack. Um, I don't know, like I think people tend to like overrate those types of cards, but I could see it doing work. Like it might just be bet. It's probably going to be a lot better in Commander, to be honest. But I mean, this isn't a Commander review; it's a limited review, so I'm just gonna say as like a 2.5 base, just based on like the body and like the possibility of making treasure tokens, and like maybe occasionally you get to like eat one of your opponent's creatures. But like the tap ability makes it a little bit more balanced because you're not going to be making multiple creatures go into the red zone and then kill them. Like there's going to be some situations where you play that Gloin and then like it makes your opponent's blocker um their one good blocker like get out of the way or whatever, and then like you just start attacking them for like a bunch of damage. But oh, it only triggers once a turn. Yeah, that's also awkward. You can't like go off, I guess, with it. Uh, Alright, Goblin Fire Lever, 1 in the red, creature Goblin Warrior. Goblin Fire Lever gets plus. It's a 1/1. You pay 1 in the red to give Goblin Fire Leaper +1 power until end of turn. When Goblin Fire Leaper dies, it deals damage equal to the power of the target creature rolls. Uh, so it's like Goblin Arsonist. It costs 2, but it has like Fire Breathing for 2. So, I mean, it's going to be better if you have equipment, like that axe. Like, if you put the axe on this, and then it's like a 4/1 that dies and can deal 4 damage to an opponent's creature, it's gonna be better, but, like, usually, like, the fact that it costs, like, 2 mana here is gonna be awkward. I could definitely see this card causing some really awkward, like, attacks or blocks from your opponent because like they don't want to attack into it because you have mana open to like pump it and like trade with like their 3/3 and then kill their other 3/3. But sometimes these cards don't actually like play out like the ideal situation because you just can't leave open this much mana to like pump it. So I don't know. I think it's gonna be like closer to like a 2 because of that, just because of the awkwardness of like having to leave open mana. But there's definitely gonna be some board states where it's like insane, like late game when you can pump it up to like a 5/1 or something, and then kill their X5 or kill both their X5s. I usually think those cards play not out as well as they think people think they will, but all right, Grishnok, Brash Instigator. 2 and a red, legendary creature, Goblin Soldiers. 1/1. When Grishnok, Brash Instigator enters the battlefield, amass Orcs 2. When you do, until end of turn, gain control of target non legendary creature. An opponent controls a power less than or equal to the mass army's power. Untap that creature, gains haste until end of turn. So this is like an amass payoff. You're not gonna be like it's gonna be kind of like whatever if you're stealing a 2/2 until end of turn. This is good, especially in like the black red deck. Because like if you have a black red deck and then you have like a bunch of amass and then you have like a sack outlet on the ready, you can like amass orcs your 2/2. Sorry, you have a 2/2 army already, and then you play this guy, and then your army becomes a 4/4, and then you steal their like 4 power guy, attack them with it, and then sack it. Um, it's gonna be really good there in that sack deck. It's gonna be kind of gross there, but I think if you don't have like the sack synergy, it's gonna be like kind of okay. Like you steal their guy and attack them with it, and like also like full. But um, I'm just gonna say it's like a 2.5 because I think there is a fair amount of like possible upside with it, and I guess like the worst case scenario, it's like a 3/3 for 3. Not like I'm not gonna say explicitly that like a mat like that it is exactly a 3/3 for 3, but it's probably gonna play. Alright, Haradrim Spearmaster, 2 in a red, creature human warrior, 2/3 reach. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gets +1/+0 until it. This is like Valor Singer that can only pump another creature. It has synergy with that goblin that we talked about earlier, the fire breathing goblin. 2/3 reach. Really weird, like red creature. Defensive stats, defensive ability, offensive pump. I mean, I think you'll play it, but it's not like insane or anything. Like it's gonna, I guess it will play out kind of like a 3/3 spread out, but like I don't know. Like I don't remember like Valor Singer being really busted, but there's a lot of like power matter stuff. I could see this being like a 2.5, but I'm just gonna say like maybe it's closer to like a 2. Because I think usually these like 3 mana 2/3s don't play out super great even with the pump, but alright. You the Entwood. Um, 3 and double red sorcery. Sacrifice any number of lands. Reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of lands. Sacrifice this way. Choose any number of artifact and/or land cards revealed this way. Put all non-land cards chosen this way onto the battlefield, then put all land cards chosen this way onto the battlefield tapped, and put the rest on the library in random order. Uh, I'm just gonna say this is a constructed plant and you should not play it in your limited deck. Yeah. Because you need to have like a bunch of artifacts. Yeah, like I'm just gonna say there's like a 0. I'm just say like don't put it constructed in your limited deck. Yeah. Because it only puts artifacts or lands into play, so your deck needs to be like heavy artifact based for this to actually do anything, or heavy land based. And I think most limited decks are gonna be like very creature heavy, and it literally does. Deck has like you're gonna be like sacking 5 lands that like put 2 lands in play. That's okay. Improvise club, 1 in the red, instant. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Improvise club deals 4 damage to target. So this is your combo with the Act of Treason. You, which makes like that Act of Treason guy better theoretically because you kill their creature, and then you attack with it, and then you sack it to the Improvise club. Just even code stuff. Does the set seem to have a lot of high drops or limited? Um, yeah, no, you don't sack the lands as a cost or whatever. You sack it upon the resolution. It works like scape shift or whatever. Like where like if you counter your opponent's scape shift, they haven't sacked any land yet. Um, so the thing is like this set is kind of like a lower power level set, Steven Code stuff, and uh I don't think I've noticed like the curves like being unusually high. Like there's definitely some limited sets that have like a lot of expensive cards in them, but that's because they expect you to be like paying. There were so many 5 drums. Yeah, I don't know. Like it could be something of like the pack runs or maybe like bot drafts and stuff. Like maybe bots take all the early low drops or something and they leave like the high drops. I'm not really sure, but I mean I've been doing these set reviews for like the last 6 hours or so, and I haven't really big view in like the mana values. Like I haven't noticed it being like oh it's really value, but um. Yeah, this is basically in your sack deck. You can play it in your non-sack deck, I guess, but like it's gonna probably sit in your hand a lot of time. You can sack food to it. It says artifacts, so you could sack food to it, or you could sack like treasure token to it also. But I don't know. I think I'm just gonna feel like it's gonna be like F. Is because like you can only play it if you sack something, and you're not always gonna have like something to sack to it unless you have active treason or a lot of like token. Makes me not like super excited about it. It could be closer to like a 1. It just feels like I guess if you have the upside of active treason, then that's why it would leave enough. Because like the upside is kind of good. Moria Marauder, double red, double strike. Whenever a goblin or orc you control deals combat damage to a player, exile top card. Um, I mean, this is like some pretty good card advantage if you can get in with your goblin. It itself it doesn't have to get in. I mean, if you actually do able to attack with this, it exiles 2 cards, which is what. Can we just go back to Mom? Yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be a lower power level set, Steven, and yeah, like there's not really as many like super broken bombs. I think I've noticed like maybe like 2 or 3 cards I would say are like actually bomb level, or maybe 3 cards are like bomb level 4. Compared to like March of the Machine has like many bombs. Like so I think this is more of like a constructed plant. I mean, yeah, if you have like a lot of goblins and orcs in play, and then you play this, and then you attack, it could be like kind of busted in that regard. But like, it's also like a 2 mana 1/1 double strike, which I mean that's like fine too, but I don't think it's gonna be like super insane. Like, I think in the right deck it'd be closer to like a 3. I think most of the time, I don't know. Like, if you have like a lot of goblins and orcs in play and they have a good attack, it could actually be like a 3. Maybe I could say it's like a like possibility of getting like a lot of card advantage off this could be a big deal. I mean, yeah, it's not great, but I'm just thinking in the context of the set of this set. Like I think like a 1/1 double strike. There is like equipment in the set too that like makes it better. Like if you can put like the +3/+0 axe on this, then it's like a 4/1 double strike, which is like really hard to like block. And it doesn't have to it doesn't have to be the one dealing combat damage to get the card. It just says a goblin or orc you control. So like I think the situation with this is that like you're going to have like goblins and orcs in play already, and then you play this and then you attack them, and it might make your opponent make like weird blocks because they don't want you to get like the card off the top of your deck. But I'm like willing to like rate this like higher just because I think like there's some really big upside potential. There's a goblin or orc pinger. It has to deal combat damage, so no, that's not gonna work. It has to deal, so pinging doesn't do it. Alright, Oliphant, 5 in a red, creature, elephant, trample. Whenever Oliphant attacks, another target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains trample. Mountain cycling 1. So, like, this set has a bunch of, like, 6-drop creatures that have mountain cycling 1. There's also a blue draw 3 that has mountain cycling, or that's island cycling 1. I've just been rating them as like a 2 because the mountain cycling one is pretty nice. Um, but obviously, like you're not gonna get like super excited about like stats on this. It does give like again, like I mean, it's not irrelevant. Like a 6/4 trample that pumps another creature you control gives a trample, but there's only so many 6-drops you want to play, even with like the mountain cycling one. Alright, Ologhai Crusher, 3 in the red, creature troll soldier, trample, Ologhai Crusher can't block unless you control a goblin. 4/4. So this is very aggressive. It can't block unless you control a goblin or orc. It's a troll. So it doesn't like so it doesn't synergize with like your goblin and orc stuff because it's a troll. So this is basically like a card you only want to play in your goblin and orc deck. It's like not I mean it's not bad, but not being able to block unless you have like a goblin or orc is kind of awkward, right? Like I don't like because like usually a key like aspect of like creatures and limited is being able to block. Cuz like I just remember like Craven Giant usually played out kind of awkwardly in call time and because it had like a conditional ability to blocking, but not Craven. Or I think it's like Cowardly Giant or whatever. It was like the giant from like Call Time that was like a 4/4 and it can't block alone. It's that there were definitely situations like you play like that giant card and then like you lose because you can't block with it and you're actually on the back foot. Like I mean, yeah, red creatures usually want to attack, but there are situations where you do need the block. Like Howlpack Wolf is also kind of like an example of like a card that sometimes or used to sometimes underperform because it's just like there were definitely situations you play like a Hellpack Wolf and then you can't block and it's like really bad. Like your opponent's like got you on the back foot, and you have like a wolf in play and a health pack wolf, and then they kill your other wolf, and then like you can't block, and then like taking a bunch. That's why I'm like afraid of like rating these cards like high. I mean, like a 4/4 for 4 is actually pretty big in this set, but the fact that like it can go really horribly wrong makes like a little less like high on it. Like I can just like rate it as like a 1.5. In that context, because it go like really bad. All right. World's End, 2 in a red, sorcery. As an additional cost of this, cast a spell, discard a card. Draw 2 cards and create a 1/1 white human. So we finally found the Honor the God Pharaoh. I know it's not the same. Because that was a mass one. So this works with like your human synergy, it works with your token synergy, it's filtering. I mean it's 3 mana for filtering, which is a little awkward. Um that's definitely more than like 2. Like usually you play this when it's 2 because it's tormenting. Oh, that's okay, because it's tormenting. This gives you a 1/1, so you're paying like 1 mana. I mean, it's sorcery speed because, like, I guess, yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, it's kind of strange considering they've had, yeah, Tormenting Voice is sorcery too. They've had like instant speed versions of this, like Big Score, right? Like Big Score is like 4 mana, does this same thing, but it gives you 2 treasures, so it's like ramp and fix for like your next turn. So the reason I'm like a little bit lower on this type of card is because like if you're playing a very aggressive deck, do you want to play like a 3 mana 1/1? But it is like hard. Like limit, I guess in limited you usually don't necessarily have like a perfect draw, but I rather likely have a treasure than a random 1/1. So you'd rather play Seize the Spoils and you rather play Seize 1/1. Um yeah, I'm just gonna say there's like a 1.5 just this is gonna be fine to like play it, but again, it's like if you have like the human or token synergy stuff, then it's gonna be better. But it's just not super exciting. Okay, I think this is the card people were talking about was Rally at Hornburg, 1 in the red, sorcery, create 2/1/1 white human soldier creature token. Humans you control gain haste until end of turn. Now this I can actually see this card being pretty good. Like, this card actually looks like it could be pretty good. Like, it reminds me a little bit of, like, heroic reinforcements. Is this a... No, I don't think so, Yargle, but, Uh... Yeah, I think this card could actually be pretty good, or whatever. Like, it's not, like, insane, but I actually think, like, certain... Like, in certain decks, this would be, like, a good role player. Because at the very minimum, it's, like... At the very minimum, it's like, yeah, it's Krenko's command, but they have haste, right? And it can give other humans haste. So say you go a 2 mana, say you go a 2 mana human into this rally, and then they all have haste. I mean, that's not insane, but excuse me. I don't know. I think this card is gonna do something good in the decks that really want to play it. I'm like willing to like rate this as like a 2.5. Maybe 2 is closer to what it actually should be, but I think Domino Man. Yeah, I'm getting like a cold. I think just because well, I've been like having allergies for like the last like 3 weeks. Whatever. Not great, but thanks for bearing with me right now. Alright, should be called passing the torch. You got Ranger's Firebrand 1 red, sorcery. Ranger's Firebrand deals 2 damage to any target the ring. So it's basically sorcery speed, shock with set mechanic. Yeah. I don't really understand what's going on here. I guess they're throwing torches at some kind of like monster. I don't know. So yeah, it'll probably be good. I think in the context of the set, like creatures seem small in the format. Oh, it's a wraith. Okay, so like creatures are small in this format, and it has set mechanic on it. You can go face. Yeah, I'm willing to say it's like a 2.5, maybe. It's probably gonna be like a 2.5. It could be like a 3, maybe, depending on how good like Ring tempts you is. I don't know. I guess I rated the Disfigure as like a. I rated Disfigure as like a 3, but I don't know. Alright, Relentless Rohirrim. Yeah, yeah, it could be real, most non-totem creatures that have 2 toughness. It's probably gonna kill most. Yeah. So like that's why the Disfigure. I mean, it's not called Disfigure, but it functionally Disfigure. Alright, Relentless Rohirrim, 3 in a red, creature human knight. When Relentless Rohirrim enters the battlefield, the ring tempt 2, so. I rated the 3 mana 3/2 that has ring tempt 2 as like a 2, but I should probably. So that means I probably should rate this as a 2 also, just because maybe like the ring mechanic is good. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just gonna rate it a 2. Just for like consistency. I rated the shock thing as a Rising of the Day. That figure. Rising of the Day, 2 in a red, enchantment. Creatures you control have haste. Legendary creatures you control with +1/+0. So they've had this card before. I think it was like Fervor or whatever, but it was like a rare, and like that was never really like great or whatever because it's just like you're spending mana to do that. It does have like a small pump effect on it for like your legendary creatures, but I don't think this is actually like worth a card. Though I definitely imagine people will like lose to this type of effect, but like you're going down a card to like do this, then maybe if you have like a ton of legendaries, it's gonna be good. But like say you have like 5 legendaries in your deck, and then it's like 0.3. Yeah. I think this is gonna be like a 1 or whatever because I just don't think it's like worth the card at all. It could be. It's probably actually close to like a 0.5 just because it's probably not worth a card. The ability on this. Maybe it's probably just like a construct plant, honestly. I'm gonna say it's a 0.5. Doesn't seem like worth it to me, but maybe some play it and like have really good results with it. Um Alright, Rohirrim Lancer, 1 red, creature human knight, menace. When Rohirrim Lancer dies, the ring tempts you. 1/1 menace for 1. I feel like this is a constructed plant for your red knight tribal deck. It's got human synergies. I mean, I don't know how relevant a 1/1 is gonna be like super late game. I think you need to have like equipment for this to be super good. I guess you could use this as like sack fodder if you care about like the ring tempty. If you're playing black red, like I think both black and red have like spice cards, but I don't know. I just think like this body is gonna be like irrelevant a lot of times. Like there are sets where like 1 mana 1/1 is actively good, but I don't really feel like this is it. To be honest. So I'm just gonna say it's like a 1. Even though like I guess I rated like that 3/2 for 2 a little bit higher, but I just don't. It's like it's hard to make like a 1/1 for 1 like relevant a lot of times unless it's like shambling ghast. There are some 1 drops that are good like shambling ghast, but that's also because like that card has like a lot of other text on it, right? Shambling ghast was good, and uh I guess crawling chorus was good because like it was set dependent, in that set like there, um but 1 was also like hyper aggressive. That's like why crawling chorus thing black on left hook words. Alright, rush the room, red, instant. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. If it's a goblin and orc, it also gains haste until end of turn. So this is basically Kindled Fury. Like, if anybody remembers Kindled Fury, like, it's not like breaking limited at all. Like, it just has like the alternative option that you can play it as like a Fervent Strike if it's a goblin or orc. So it's basically just like a worse version of Fervent Strike, because it only gives haste if it's a goblin or orc. Because sometimes you actually did play Fervent Strike just to give haste something back. Sometimes you play it as a combat trick, give first strike and like I don't know, it's like it's hard sometimes to make like +1/+0 and first strike a big deal. Like they've tried it with like things like Daring Escape and Coming in Hot, and those are usually like cards you just don't really want to play. Because like even though it is like a 1 mana combat trick, um, it's more limited because like it doesn't keep your creature from like dying to like burn spells or whatever. Like that's why like things like Wings of the Cosmos and Massive Might or whatever. Those are like examples of, like 1 mana combat tricks that get better, but like I mean, you don't want to play like Coming in Hot, like March of the Machines. Like, March of the Machines is also like higher power level, so it's like Coming in Hot was like kind of bad. Like I think the last time I remember like first strike trick being good was like Brothers War because it gave trample. Whirling Strike. It was actually like super relevant, like giving trample, because like sometimes you just go like lethal because you gave trample to get +2/+0 and first strike. But I mean that also costs 2 mana. I mean this is like 1 mana. I don't know. I just think like these type of tricks are usually the ones you like try to avoid playing. Well, I would say it's like a 1. You can play it if you want to, but I just think like Kindled Fury is not like a card you're like oh man, I want to play stuff. Yeah. Alright. Smite the Deathless 1 in the red. Instant. Smite the Deathless deals 3 damage to target creature. If that creature loses indestructible until end of turn. If that creature would die this turn, exile instead. Alright, well, I definitely feel like this card is going to get people. Like, when they try to cast the indestructible combat trick on their thing, and then their creature dies anyways because, you know. Oh, Lightning Strike. Yeah, I mean, it's lightning. Well, I'm thinking more like Breath of Dragonfire or whatever it was from like Eldraine, the one that was like, or Scorching Dragonfire, because it doesn't go face. It doesn't go phase, but it does have like relevant text like exiling the creature when it dies, and a flavor wind with a demon ability. Oh yeah, I guess this card actually does kill the. This is actually a good answer to the insane black mythic card. Because this actually answers it. So I guess maybe that should lower the card down a peg because you can destroy it with the card. Funny. Because I think there's like a black spell that's an uncommon that exiles, I think, also, but like there's like very few ways to like interact with that. I'll show the people the card that were by the way. Yeah, it is very flavorful because it shows like Eowyn or whatever killing like a whatever. Maybe I'm just not great at like the or whatever. This was like the card we were talking about earlier that was like this was the card we were talking about was like looks insane. It looked like insane in the context of like what we'd seen so far because it has like passive text that's really annoying and you can discard a card to give it indestructible. But like this card basically gets around that. Um the red spell, like the Deathless. I'm just gonna say it's like a 3, just because this is gonna be like the removal spell du jour for like your red deck. Like you're gonna want to play like a bunch of copies of this in your deck. There's a lot of like 3/3. Not 3, sorry, 4/3/3s for 4 in this set too. Like so this is gonna trade up in mana a lot of times. And it has like relevant exiling text. Alright, Spiteful Banditry, X and double red enchantment. When Spiteful Banditry enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to each creature. Whenever one or more creatures your opponents control die, you create a treasure. This ability triggers only once each turn. So people were saying this is basically the red. Yeah, no, I did black earlier, Stephen Code stuff. So it'll be in the video. I can give you like the timestamp when I do it. Yeah, because I actually did like a little bit of March in the Machine draft before because I was like trying to wait and because if I just wanted to do like the set review and not talk to anybody, I would just then people could comment. So yeah, I mean this basically is gonna play out a lot like oh, I rate it as a 3. I also rate it as a 3. It could be higher than that. I mean it's sorcery speed, Stephen Code stuff, that's what like I think made it a little bit lower in my mind because of the sorcery. But if it was like instant or whatever, it would definitely be like a 3.5. Not murder, but like I think the sorcery takes it down a bit. Alright, so yeah, it's like I mean I don't think like this card is gonna be as broken as Meat Hook Massacre was in limited or in the previous limited format that it was in, because that one also like was a win condition, right? It was a win condition because like the life drain and the life gain like relevant, like like punishing your opponent for killing your creatures or gaining life off of killing theirs was like a big deal with Meat Hook Massacre. That's what made that card broke. Like this is still good because it's like a scalable board wipe. You can play around it a little bit. Like um you can choose like a number that like works for you. Like you can choose like 2 or something. Want to keep all your X3s. Um, and like the treasures aren't irrelevant. Like there's some cards that care about you having making a token, and there's some cards that care like it also ramps and fixes you. But I mean, if you're playing like a big X spell like this, maybe you don't even care about like. But I mean, it's not irrelevant. It only triggers once each turn, so like even if you kill like 5 creatures, 5 of your opponent's creatures with this, you only get 1 treasure. It's not like you're going to ramp to like your 8 drop or something off of this. So like it's a little bit more limited in that regard, but I can imagine this being really hilarious if you this is gonna be really hilarious when you play it against like your opponent's sacrifice deck. Yeah, it is kind of expensive, and honestly, like board wipes haven't been that insane and limited for a while, unless like they're the really broken ones like Sunfall or Farewell. Because like the really broken board wipes are like Sunfall, Farewell, and as we were talking about, Meat Hook Massacre, but Meat Hook Massacre is because it has life gain and life drain, life loss attack. But um, yeah, like White Sun's Twilight is really strong because it's in 7 mana. But yeah, like just because I don't think the treasures are gonna be that insane, I'm almost like willing to like say it's gonna be close to like a 2.5, but maybe because it is scalable, it could be like a 3. I kind of just want to rate it as like a 2.5, and honestly, just because I just don't think like this is as insane as like Meat Book Massacre was. It's a mythic, so who cares a little bit? Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean, we have to like rate everything, right? Like technically, someone could play. It does like influence people's choice. I don't know, like I also like to say like these ratings kind of like a grain of salt, because like even if I say like, oh, this mythic is worse than like a common, I do think like at F&M drafts or whatever, people will end up like drafting mythics because they're like, oh, I want to draft this mythic because it's cool or whatever. Like even if like technically, it's like the like even if like 17 land says draft preening champion because it's better than like 80% of the rares and mythics and March of the there's people that'll still take like their they'll still take like Invasion of Segovia. Oh, I want to take Invasion of Segovia because it's great. I mean, I actually think Preening Champion has a higher win rate than that first singer. Most people will just as somebody. And I think also Preening Champion's win rate gets a little bit like buffed by the fact that if you have like one Preening Champion, you often have like multiple copies of it. So like the more copies you have of it, and then you're playing it, and it just kind of like feels like a inflation. I'm gonna say it's a 2.5. Swarming of Moria, 2 and a red. Sorcery. Create a treasure token, amass orcs 2. Alright, I guess it's good in your token matter deck if you have like the bat. You take Preening Champions over most Praetors, yeah. No, that's fair. I mean, I think from like a fun perspective, it's still better to take like Sheoldred over Preening Champion, or you know, like at least a 5-mana one, and like uh yeah, bombs are always fun. Yeah, that's like why I take them. I mean, not all the Praetor, like, there's definitely some really bad Praetors, like, you don't play, like, 10 mana Jin Gataxias, you don't play 8 mana Vorinclex. Don't really care that much about 4 mana or 5 mana Eurobrass, sadly. Feel like it wasn't super try to win, yeah. Like, 7 mana Elesh Norn is pretty insane, 4 mana Elesh Norn is, like, okay. It's, like, good. 4 mana Elesh Norn is good, that could kind of warps combat a little bit, like 5 mana Jin Kataka for like okay, but it's really like a 5/5 for 5 that like draws a card here and there. Sorry, I'm like kind of like getting sidetracked. You wouldn't patch an Elesh Norn. Yeah. Well, no, I was just saying, like, yes, a lot of the Praetors are terrible, but then, you know, some of them are, like, good. And then, you know, the 7 mana one is, like, insane. Like, 7 mana Elesh Norn is neither here nor there. Alright, so Swarming of Moria, I guess this is like a 2/2 that makes a treasure token. Like, if you have a lot of the mass synergy cards, it's gonna be good, and it's like pseudo ramp. I This could play out similar to like Plunder Barbarian from like the Baldur Gate set. Like, I mean, because a lot of times you just play it as like a 2/2, make a treasure. It's like fine in that regard, like fixing ramp. Amass, I mean, I understand, I've already mentioned that Amass Orcs 2 isn't necessarily the same thing as always making a 2/2. Sometimes it's just buffing your army, but there are actually payoffs for having a big army in the set, like, the Goblin Act of Treason cares you have a bigger army. It goes off the army's power, and then there's also, um, the Mass 4 sorcery that, like, deals damage to a creature opponent controls based on the or so like it's better there. So I think this is just gonna be like a reasonable role player in that army amass deck. So I'll say it's like a but again, I feel like my numbers could definitely be changed after like 17 lands first week. Alright, there and back again. 3 and double red. Up to 1 target creature can't block for as long as you control there and back again. The ring 10-2. Search your library for a mountain card, put on the battlefield, then shuffle, and then create Smog, a legendary 6/6 red dragon creature with flying, haste, and when this creature dies, create 14 treasure tokens. Okay. Well, I mean, if you make this seems pretty good. It's like a 6/6 with like spend 2. And it has haste. Like 6/6 flyer 6/6 flyer that comes down 2 turn. Yeah, it seems pretty strong. Right? I don't know if like the dying and making 14 treasure tokens is really gonna matter, but yeah. I rated like the Witch King as like a 4.5, and I'd be willing to rate this as like a 4, just because it is a token. There is like, so it's interesting. The bounce spell in this set, the 2 mana bounce spell can't target tokens, but like the 4 mana like time ebb like variant can. So I guess that makes us a little bit better because it's like a token. They just can't just like bounce it for 2 mana. So I'm willing to rate this as like a 4. It's definitely balmy, but it's again it's still a single creature. You know, it's like they could remove it. It's like it's like the thing with like the Witch King is like it's really hard for them to remove it. And has like the Witch King has like really relevant passive text. So I'm gonna say it's a 4. Alright, then last card is War Beast of Gorgoroth for the red. Creature Beast. Whenever War Beast of Gorgoroth or another creature control power 4 or greater dies, a mass. So this is kind of interesting. Like the face of the card's not good, right? Oh yeah, imagine. I guess imagine if Smog dies and you have the bat card, right? The whatever card that we're. Oh, then you ping them for like 14 gross. Or is it one or I don't know how I forgot how to one or more or well, it has to die to make the token, right? It has to die, and I don't know. Like I just remember like infected defector was like not like playable, but I guess again that was a much higher power level set. And this has like a better body on the front. It's a 5/4 versus a 4/3, but I don't know. I just remember infected defector. It's ended up like looking like reasonable. Shitty Thragtusk, yeah. I mean, most of the removal does seem to just like destroy the creature. It doesn't like exile or whatever. So it's like it is probably likely that it's going to attack and then amass work too or whatever. And there's going to probably be some situations where you play this pre-combat and then attack with like a 4 power creature, and then they trade with it. Then you get to like get like a refund because yes, or other creature dies, right? Because it counts other. It says it counts itself and other creatures as long as they have like 4 or more power. So you could definitely play this like pre-combat in some situations, and then like send in like your 4 power guy block. But again, I'm just like my experience with these types of cards has not been like great or whatever. Like it tends to make me think it's gonna be like 1.5 as a result. But I guess I did say like the hasty fire elemental human was like a 3. Thought it was gonna. The card was like a little bit different. One that I was talking about. This guy. Maybe I said it was a 2.5. What did I say it was? I think I want to say it's a 3. No, I don't think. I think I said like the form. I definitely want to go back and but I'm just gonna say it's like a 2. I just feel like a lot of the times those cards don't play out super well, but the fact that it affects other creatures as long as they have like 4 or greater power has like some possibility. You could definitely do some things around it, but then like I think maybe I need to also start rating like 5 and 6 drops a little bit lower than I have or whatever. Like I think like in like my experience of like these set reviews, it's like the 5 and 6 drops usually end up going down a little bit. Because like the format usually ends up kind of hostile to like 5 and 6 drops for some reason. So there's like some reasons it's like bad, but